Welcome to Life on Life's Terms, episode 50. It's me, your host, Justin,
And it's Kenny.
We're going to get into what rejection might feel like. But before we get there, I'm going to do the shout-outs. So, Liam Connolly at Connolly Law. For all your Canadian law, will, estate, and media issues, Google Liam Connolly at Connolly Law. For all of your counseling needs, such as addiction, family counseling, please Google adaras.ca. That's ADARS.ca. The famous Chris Sucha will be able to accommodate you through Skype or Facebook, no matter where you are in the world, for all of your mental health needs. Now, with that being done, how's your day so far?
It's beautiful here.
Happy Halloween to everybody.
Happy Halloween.
I hope your kids are scaring the shit out of everybody.
Are you going to dress up?
Fuck no.
Why not?
No, that's not my thing.
Why not?
No, it's just not my thing. I'm Catholic. We don't believe in It's always a good excuse, right? I'm fucking Catholic. No. I've seen enough exorcisms. Kidding. Just kidding around. So I think the rejection thing is a good topic. And the reason why I'm going to say it's a good topic is we always talk about being positive, so on and so forth. But I think one of the things that we really sometimes forget to talk about is the shitty things that happen in life. And it's okay to mow over that a little bit, because I think at the end of it all, we still end up with that positivity as long as we keep that that
intention.
And that mental fortitude towards positivity, right?
Yeah.
So we had Kettlebell Keith in this week. I'm just going to touch a little bit on that. You need to listen to that show because Kettlebell Keith wants you to keep me accountable with the program that he's putting me on.
Absolutely.
We forgot to talk about that a little bit before the show, but that's kind of one of the things that we had talked about.
Yeah.
So
well, that's great. That's perfect training for me.
I would encourage you to take a look at his kettlebell workout, though.
Okay.
Because it's fucking crazy. I was looking at a little bit of like the freebie stuff. So he's giving me the actual DVDs. He's got 3 DVDs out there.
Yeah.
And he's giving me all 3. And he's actually going to drop off some kettlebells to me and stuff. That was kind of what we talked about after the show. And he's going to come up. We're going to videotape a workout with him and I, and potentially you if you're available that day.
Absolutely, I'll make it.
Do the kettlebell stuff.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. Joe Rogan does that kettlebell workout, and he does not go over 25 pounds in the kettlebells. And Joe Rogan's notorious for lifting 70-pound kettlebells.
Yeah.
And in this circuit,
this workout, he
cannot do it. And Keith promised me inside of the first 3 minutes, he's like, you'll be sweating so hard that the floor will be wet. Like you got to make sure that you're ready for it.
I'm a sweaty mess when I work out.
Me too. You've seen. And then he gave me shit about my sweatsuit, so I'm not allowed sweatsuits anymore, apparently.
Like your make you sweatsuit?
Yeah, no more.
Overheat, yeah.
Well, he was saying something about electrolytes after. So, I mean, cutting weight, it works really, really well, but it's nothing that you can do time and time again.
Yeah.
He's like, you can. And he didn't even say it. I was like, could I stress myself out once a month with it? He's like, no, just stop using it. And he's like, you're not cutting weight like a fighter anymore. You're trying just to be healthy. And that's where I was going. That was one of the things that I kind of came to recognize with what he was saying to me. He's like, we need to stop you in the mentality of trying to cut to fight.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you're fucking jumping rope for 20 minutes and you're not dropping weight. He goes, what do you think's happening? Your body is used to it. It's skipping too efficiently. He's like, fucking do mountain climbers.
I can't even skip for like 5 minutes straight. I can't. 3 minutes I can.
Well, that's like 20. Like, I still fuck up. Like, I still trip myself up in 20 minutes, but like straight means my heart rate hasn't dropped in 20 minutes, right? Like that's
crazy.
It's just going. Right? And then when I box, like I
must have huge calves.
Yeah. My calves are pretty big, and I'm like, especially being big, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about when I went from I was 240 pounds. I dropped down to 205 and started fighting at 205, mixed martial arts, and people had a hard time stopping my strength at that time.
Yeah.
And then I dropped to 175. as fucking murking people, man. You can't stop. Like, what are you going to do? It's muscle mass of 230, 240 pounds coming at you that's just cut all the fat off of 175. You're not fucking stopping me. And if I hit you, you're fucking dropping. Like, there's no way that you're gonna stand up to that. Like, if I touch you and I touch you in the right place, you're done.
Are you gonna start fighting again?
No. I'm too old, man.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. Especially in that game, and I've had too many brain concussions.
Yeah,
like, I've been hit. Like, that's the big thing, right? When you're below 28 years old, you're okay to get hit. You know what I mean? Like you're full of fucking piss and vinegar, and you're okay with like fucking eating one. You get over the age 28, and you start realizing, shit, I could die. Especially from the lifestyle that we come from. You know what I mean? Like you realize right away, shit, I am fucking die.
There's already some trauma.
Yeah. And so getting hit in the head is just not healthy. You know, that's not a healthy, I mean, I have a guy that comes over and spars with me, but that's a hell of a lot different than fighting, right? My sparring partner, it's, you know, we've dropped each other, but it's not like knocked out. You know, we've
You're
stuttered.
Not trying to hurt him.
Yeah, like we've stuttered each other, but it's not like boom, you're on the fucking ground and where am I again? Like,
why'd you hit me so hard?
Like, it's not like that. I
thought I was your friend. What the fuck?
Well, we used to say this all the time. We'd be like, "Oh, you're my friend, but this is tough love," and then the head drops, you know, and you're fucking, and then even like when we go to hit in the liver, we're not trying to drop the guy in the liver, like, "Ha fucker, you're open." You know what I mean? And this kid's a pro. Like, he's 22 years old. He's a fucking pro. So it's nice being my old man age in the fight world, because 34 is an old man age in the fight world, and be like, I know if I can fucking fight him, anybody out there, like if in a self-defense mechanism, I'll take the barrage. Like, and this has always been the story. I feel like I'm repeating what Joe Rogan said, but this is the story. If you know how to conduct yourself, the guy just starts swinging. So you cover up, right? And right now I have my hands in front of my face showing Kenny. So like you cover up, and the guy's just fucking swinging for the fences, gassed out in 30 seconds. And then you're like, oh, you don't know how to fight, do you? I'm just starting. And you take that big breath in, and they're like, oh, fuck. You can see it in their face. They're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you hit me how many times, and it did nothing. I just sat here and took it. Like, fucking covered the button up, and you didn't drop me. You're fucked, son.
I wish I can give everybody else an explanation for fighting, but I can't. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I mean, I'm not out there to beat anybody up, but I think one of the things is, and this was so I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but I think it's good to drop this. I was talking to a female a little while ago, and they were saying, you know, the difference between being a man and a woman is that a man knows that they can fight. I said, no, the difference is men are stupid and women know by fear that they can't cross that line. Whereas most, like, I'll put it like I just said, a man, if they get pissed off with me for whatever reason, I'm not saying I'm out there instigating, they think that they can take me until 30 seconds of them swinging is done. And then they go, oh, fuck. But that's the stupidity of men. Women just walk around going, I'm not fighting anybody. And so they live in that fear. And I said to this person, I said, the best thing you can do is go get self-defense. Because if there's anything that's going to take that fear away, I said, we could make it so that
they don't have to be living in fear if they choose not to fight. It could be living in confidence or peace or harmonious that you don't believe that it's necessary.
Sure, but I'll put it to you this way:
having faith that no fight will come up.
True, but there's still victims. There's still victims in this world, right? And so when there's victims in this world, regardless, there's always a victim. Like, I don't give a shit if you're in Canada or you're in Saudi Arabia. There's always going to be a victim. It's less likely that you're going to be a victim in Canada than maybe a place like fucking South Africa or something. But the reality is nothing's going to subdue your fear until you have knowledge. It's like going through recovery. Nothing's going to subdue your fear about a relapse until you have sufficient enough knowledge to know that that's not imminent.
I hear what you're saying.
You know?
Now I get it.
So, like,
now I get it.
to face a fear, you need to be able to be confident within your skill set. So like jiu-jitsu is perfect for women, and the reason why that's perfect for them is actually if you're on your back, you're the aggressor. The person on top of you is not the aggressor. The one on the bottom is. And if you learn boxing, I mean, for fuck's sake, there's people out there like Vasily Lomachenko. He doesn't need to get on the ground with you. Guy knows fucking distance well enough. He'll make you stand and he'll knock the piss out of you just for funsies. Like that's what I'm saying even with guys, right? Like if a guy starts swinging on me, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, which most men don't. Most men don't know how to. I mean, we've been to jail. How many guys in jail really know how to fight? They just fucking swing for the fences, hoping for a Hail Mary.
Well, there's a few of them in there that know how to fight.
Sure,
they learn how to fight, and that's why they've been in jail since.
Sure, and that's yeah. Like there is some MMA fighters in there. There is some serious boxers in there. But I guess what I'm getting at is the majority of men don't know how to do that, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, sure. Women are smart enough to know. Look, I'm not going there, right? Like I'm not going to fucking stand toe to toe with this guy, right? Whereas with most men, they're dumb enough because their ego and their bravado is there, going, "This fat fuck, come on, I could take this fucking prick." Oh, okay, well. You put your hands up, I'll put my hands up, and I'll let you go for like 30, 40 seconds. Because I'm sure once you realize you can't swing anymore and you realize that I haven't even started yet, you might be in a whole world of trouble, right? And that's when men are in the middle of it going, fuck. I just bit off way more than I can chew, right?
Yeah, then you meet that guy that just whoops the shit out of you.
And that's that's the fact of most men. You know what I mean? Like that's the fact. I remember when I first got knocked out as a kid, I think it was like 5. I wouldn't even say I was knocked out. I would, because I haven't, like I've seen stars before, but I've always been able to keep my faculties.
And hold yourself up.
Yeah. Like I've always been able to keep my faculties, but that was the first time when I really saw myself as vulnerable. I was like 5 or 6 years old. I was like, fuck this. I'm never going here again. And that's when I started learning how to fight. Like that's when I was like, taste of blood in my mouth. Let's go. Just fucking spit it away. Like I was okay with it. You know what I mean? I just never ever wanted. Plus the mentality, if you're not allowed to fall on your back, you have to fall on your face. All that bullshit, right? Like that bravado horse shit stuff that we were raised with. So that was the other catalyst.
I call that the John Wayne syndrome.
Yeah. Fuck that. I grew up with Hulk Hogan, man. I took my vitamins. All right, brother. You got it. I took my vitamins and I said my fucking prayers. All right.
Bunch of pride maniacs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, and I think this is a good segue into rejection as well, because like that physical rejection
hurts.
Fucking sucks. Like I've been beaten up. Like I've had my arm dislocated in jiu-jitsu before. And that sucked, realizing I wasn't getting out of it and I wasn't going to tap.
Physically and emotionally.
Fuck me. Oh, yeah.
The worst is the after the fact. I hate it when, like, you know, somebody does something like super, super abrupt, and it's like, that guy should have been punched out. And, like, in my old mentality, I would have these things where I was like, right after I left the situation and I, like, defused it and I didn't act out of anger, and then it's like my ego would beat me up afterwards, like, you should have smashed that guy in the face right then. You just took it dry. And then I would like talk to like bitch at myself for it.
Yeah.
And then you get all these emotions about it. And
then you try to say to yourself, well,
I made the right choice.
I was in the upper road. Like I'm going through a situation right now where like if somebody actually knew what I had come from and what I've changed from, they would probably just leave. You know what I mean? Like
it takes more strength to change than it does
sure
to fight.
It does. But there's sometimes like this is an altercation that could boil over into a physical altercation. And so like a lot of when you have a very violent reputation, that reputation will stop things before it even starts. Yeah. You know, to a degree. And so like you almost want to rest upon your laurels and be like, you want to know who the fuck I was? Here, this is who the fuck I was. You probably don't want to fight me. Like, it's probably not something that's healthy for you. However, if you do that, you are literally back to where you once were.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what some fucking asshole would have ran up to somebody saying, you don't want to fight that Justin guy, man. He's going to fucking hurt you, you know? And I'm not saying that bravado or ego was that. That just becomes the reputation that you have. And so that rejection of like me rejecting who the old person I was and being like, if he comes after me, I'm just going to choke him out. Like that's literally what my mind is. If this guy comes at me, I'm just going to choke him out and I'm going to leave. But that to me is like the easiest. That's the easiest option, because the reality is I cannot stop the encounter with this person. It's in a, I'm not going to get into all the circumstances of the situation, but it literally isn't just like you just can't be there, because that's typically what I would do. If it was a situation where there could be a physical altercation, I'd be like, well, I'm just not going to be there. But in this encounter, I have to be there. I'm providing care for somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, I have no choice but to be there. And I like in my head, I like, as I was working out, most fighters will get this too, is like in our head, we plan out the fight. Just like you were saying, the after.
Yeah, you visualize it.
Yeah, it's there, right?
Yeah.
I was visualizing breaking his fucking arm. And I was like, no, we just need to choke him out. So like in my head, I have like full guard in a fucking guillotine and just reefing on his fucking neck, right? And I know that if I get that on him, there'll be no swings. Like he'll get limp on top of me, like literally limp. And then I'll just roll him off of me and I'll walk the fuck out of there. But in my head, like, remember how you were saying you go fucking bananas? In my head, I'm like, I'll teabag the motherfucker, take a picture of it and email that shit or text that shit to him every hour so he knows who the fucking boss is. But that's where I regressed that idea, right? It's okay to let that shit play out in your head, right?
Yeah, it's just a thought. You let it come and go, just like the meditation practices.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, rejecting and I think that's kind of positive rejection. Rejecting those old behaviors, seeing them creep up, it's almost like a different personality right there, right?
It is for sure. I actually claim it to be two different people. I'll have like some heinous thought and I'll be like, that was Kenny 25. Kenny 31 doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Kenny 31 does something like this.
I still have, like, I'm not going to say that I don't have homicidal thoughts. I'd be lying to you if I don't, right? I mean, the biggest thing is I just don't act out upon them anymore. And that's the honest to God truth. I just don't act out upon it anymore.
Easy Hannibal Lecter.
Well, that's what and I think that was difficult for me in the beginning. And then over a long period of time, I don't have it to that degree anymore, right? But then all of a sudden this situation happens and I'm like literally looking at that old monster that I could have been or what I was at one time, and then trying to say to myself, that's not going to help you in this situation. And I'm kind of like in my mind fucking preemptively like I'm going to put him in a fucking hole somewhere. Fuck him, right? I'm not saying that I would actually do that. All I'm saying is in my head, that's where my mind will go in a situation like this. And then it's almost like, have I regressed? That's the next question that I ask myself. Am I regressing?
And then you have to do like some cognitive behavioral therapy and
I
thought management. You got to replace it and you got to...
For me, I just beat the fuck out of like I'll box, right? If I'm boxing, I'm okay. Like I don't box for fitness. I box for your health.
My health or
anybody's health, right?
Or your mental health.
Both. Really, it's both, right? I mean, I'm saying that kiddingly, like for other people's health, like I'm this violent person, but I'm not a violent person anymore. I'm really not. And so, I mean, I do it so that I know it's that confidence thing again. You know what I mean? Especially sparring with another person, because there's a piece of any fighter. I think this is the hardest thing for any fighter. When you realize you can't walk in the ring anymore and you can't get in the cage anymore, am I still sharp enough? And you'll see, I've seen ex-fighters getting drunk, looking at that poor prick across the fucking bar, going, yeah, he's pretty big, and he's fucking still looking at people like they're a meat bag. Literally, like he's just looking at them like they're a fucking meat bag. Tyson talks about this all the time.
I seen that documentary.
This happened to him for a long time after fighting. He's still looking at people like a fucking meat bag, right?
Yeah.
And so then what ends up happening is you act out on it. And it's just a serious act of aggression and violence.
Sociopathic.
Yeah. Well, because you have megalomania. That's what happens. You're a megalomaniac because, I mean, imagine, and I'm using Tyson as the extreme version. I was never in the class of Tyson. Never was. But you get this way in your mentality to be a fighter because you wouldn't fight if you weren't, where I can fucking take anybody in the world. Because if you don't have that mentality, why the hell are you walking into a cage or a fucking ring?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now you're not fighting anymore and you still have that ringing in your head going, I can take any fucking normal person. So let's go do it. Instead of going to go do it, go to the fucking gym and fight people or spar with people who are wanting to spar with you. Then you know how cued your skill set is. And if you have way too many concussions, well, unfortunately, the fight game is just done for you, and again, that almost becomes the sport has rejected you. And when the sport rejects you, that's difficult to handle too, right?
Oh yeah. It destroys your identity.
To a degree. Yeah.
And then for sure there'd be like an identity crisis, but then it's like, it takes your livelihood. It takes everything that made you that person, that aggressor, your mentality, everything has to shift after that, because if you just have that same mentality and you're progressing forward in that lifestyle, it'll cause problems in all different areas.
Yeah. I mean, you can't fight forever. Physically, you just can't do it. You can train forever, but you can't fight forever. Not every fighter is a fucking Freddie Roach that can be one of the best trainers in the world. And so when the doctor says, you can't take another punch in the head, you need to go figure something else out. It's very, very difficult. I think there's two ways of looking at this. Either you can leave on your own terms from a situation. So let's take this away from the fight game and let's just look at this as life. You can either walk away on your own accord, or you can allow them to say, we don't want you. And even if they say we don't want you, the fact of the matter is you can look at that in two ways. And you can say, well, it's their loss, which is probably true to a degree. Or secondly, the way how you can look at it too is, all they need to do is accept to move on and never have to look back. Because as long as I accept that that's their standpoint, that's fine. It's fair. Doesn't mean I have to agree, but I can move on. And the second that you accept, you're not going to have an unreasonable resentment. Because there are, I did watch that movie, The Shift, that you had suggested to me last time.
Yeah.
And I have seen that in meetings where they said there is no reasonable resentment. That is 100% true. I think anybody who has any resentment towards anybody in life, there's a deep-seated issue where it's going to boil over in some sort of vengeful act or some sort of sabotage, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't have any real resentments towards anybody anymore. I've learned that detachment. It's unfortunate. C'est la vie. Let's move on. Right? So even in the face, like, and you and I have been pretty open. And so I think I'll even say this for the show. We say enough that at this point, probably some employers won't hire us. Some of the stuff that we've said, they just may not, for whatever their personal opinion is, they may not agree with us. And that's fine. That's fair. But I think that's one of the casualties of being honest and being true to who you are, right?
We're a threat to those who aren't.
Well, and I think it's one of these things too where I don't like these labels of progressive leftists or progressive right. I don't like those labels.
Nor I.
But what I will say is, let's say we don't line up with somebody who is progressively left. And then they just say, well, those people are assholes based upon their opinion. That's fine. They're entitled to that opinion. And they may not hire me for a job because of that opinion. That's fine. That's in actual terms called discrimination, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to go after them about it. That's fine. They're entitled to it, and I'm okay with that. I accept that they don't want me to participate, and that's fine. I'm okay, because the next thing that's going to come is if one door closes, another one is opening.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as long as I accept that door is closed, the next one's opening. I just have to move on, right? As long as I'm moving forward, I never have to look back. There's no point in saying I should have or could have. That doesn't qualify. None of that qualifies. As long as you learned what not to do again, you don't need to ever say to yourself, should have or could have. Those things are just, they're not going to be valuable to you unless it was like, you should do this in your next process, right? This might be beneficial. Fine. But looking at a should have or a would have or a could have from your experienced past, horseshit.
Then you're not living in the moment. Then you're stuck in the past.
You ever notice this when you've been on bail for a long time? Let's say in a way where you're mentally fit, right? You live more in the moment? Because if you look towards the trial or the upcoming plead out, you shit the bed, right? If you think about going back to jail because it's easier, you'll shit the bed. So you need to literally accept in the moment, it's good right now. Doesn't matter about trial. Fuck, that's 3 years away. The wheels of justice in this Canadian country move really fucking slow.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to accept that time is on your side. I've learned this through being on bail for quite some time, that time is on my side as well as recovery. Time is on my side. And if somebody's making a rash decision, I will bet my last dollar on it that it's going to be regrettable to them. You know, whenever I've made a rash decision, it was regrettable, right?
I've had a few.
And I think as long as I'm keeping that rashness out, I'm okay. If I feel like I have to make a decision right now, I need to actually ask for time. And if they're not prepared to give me time, well, I'll see you later then. That's a con job. I used to pull that on people all the time.
So you're a thought process decision maker.
Try to be. I try to keep pragmatism within sight.
What about heartfelt decisions? Do you make decisions with your heart?
Depends. It depends on the situation, right? Like I have care and compassion, but I always need to ask myself, what is my length? Right? So like in early recovery, I would go to great lengths to help people get through a set of steps, sponsor them and all of these things. And the only thing that I really got in return was I learned what boundaries are, because I breached my boundaries all of the time. And what I would do is I wanted their recovery more than they wanted it. And so what I came to understand very well within the first 2 years is these people will burn you out. They will. And it's not that they want to, that's their nature. Right? That's just their nature. They're not in that place. So I have now, when it comes to using care and compassion to make a decision, I need to set my own boundaries right away, and I make them clear and cut. Whereas with business relationships, the deal is what I have value in, because if there's anything that I have an issue with, and I think most people coming from the world of addiction or jail or whatever it is we have no understanding of real boundaries. Instead, we sit there and we say, I'll give you the world. But that's not how normal people act. Normal people say, I can do this, and it's a reciprocal conversation.
Mutually beneficial.
That's right. We don't do that where we come from. Instead, we're so codependent. We're, one, so codependent, and secondly, we need to be the fucking hero all of the time. That we say, I'll take it all on. You can't.
And then you shit the bed.
That's right. And then you fall short in your obligations. And it's not that you don't want to, but then next thing you know, that is the first sign of your self-sabotaging behavior. That's the first sign, because you know you're not. I mean, you want to believe that you're going to do it, and it's great that you believe that, but reality is reality, right? And when reality sets in, then you go,
self-rejection.
Son of a bitch, look at all this shit that I haven't been able to do.
I'm a fucking loser.
That's right. That's right.
Self-rejection.
I think one of the blogs that's coming out is I talked.
That was good. Wait. That was good. I like that. Self-rejection. I'm going to use that from now on.
Well, and I think one of the things to, so remember we talked about shitty committee quite a bit, right? So I'm going to touch, I think we talked a little bit about this on the last podcast, but I'm just going to touch on it again. Shitty committee happens. So I used to think I should avoid shitty committee.
Yeah.
Right? And I used to even tell people that. Avoid shitty committee. It's not cool. Don't beat yourself up. Guess what? Sometimes
we have to kick our own ass.
But it's one of these things where like your self-conscious has been telling you how long, hey, Justin, you need to go for a walk, you fat fuck. Okay? That's a nice way of saying it. Right? And then all of a sudden you become so obese that you're over 300 pounds in your body. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I fucking hate this thing. This thing is a piece of shit. I fucking don't like it. You're fucking ugly. And then that shitty committee rolls. Well, guess why that's happening? That's happening because you neglected yourself. And by neglecting it, your subconscious has been piling it up. And because it's been piling it up, next thing you know, it says to you, it goes, look at here, you fat fuck. You really have to change or else you're going to fucking die. You're going to die. That's the same thing in active addiction. When you're in active addiction and you go, look at my rig arm, or look at this, look at that. I fucking hate the reason why you're saying that you hate yourself is because you really don't like what the fuck you're doing. And the only way out of that, your shitty committee is a direct reflection. It's the mirror of saying to you, you are at the limit, man. You go anymore, you're going to fucking die. And your subconscious is fighting for your acknowledgement. It's fighting. And the only way that it knows how to say anything to you is it now needs to get on your level and say, you are a piece of shit. You're a piece of fucking shit. And either you're going to fucking stop doing this dope or you're just going to die, you piece of shit. What's shit or get off the fucking pot, right? So now it's not that, like, I don't necessarily have shitty committee anymore. And a lot of that is because I do what I have to. So like if shitty committee comes up, I used to say, just ignore it. Fuck that. Don't ignore it. Look at it and say to yourself, did I do 5 push-ups today?
Yeah, well, it's part of self-accountability too.
That's right.
Right? Because like you can sit there and look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you're a fat piece of shit or you're a junkie or something and not be accountable and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like you have to have a level of self-accountability where like if you say you're going to do something, you fucking do it.
Well, and I like I said, that neglect, right? That neglect piles up. And you always notice that shitty committee doesn't just start like bang harsh.
No, it creeps in. It creeps in.
Exactly. And so the first acknowledgement that we have to make as soon as shitty committee comes in is, well, what haven't you done today? Did you not humble yourself before your higher power?
I fucking make that bed as soon as I get up.
Did you not work out today? Are you not emotionally stable? Right? Are you capable of being of service today? Because if those other 3 are out of line, the 4th one is going to hell too. Right? And that's when and it's not going to happen the first day. But all of a sudden, maybe by day 5 or 6 you haven't been working out. And by day 5 or 6, next thing you know, what ends up happening is you're like, fuck, you're a piece of shit. Look at that, man. Or you didn't sleep, right? You didn't sleep. And now you're like fumbling and you got fucking butterfingers, whatever it is. And you're like, fuck you, stupid idiot. You have no patience for yourself. Well, why is that? Did you fucking sleep?
But you got to be accountable when that shit does happen and then fix it.
So then there comes that acronym HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And if you're one of them, the other 3 are coming. If you're hungry, you're going to get angry. And if you're angry, you're going to become lonely because nobody wants to be around you. And now that you're hungry and angry, burning energy by being angry, you're going to get tired really, really quickly. And you can even work that the other way. If you're tired, you're an asshole, so then you're going to be lonely. And when you're lonely, you're going to get angry because there's nobody else around you. So now you feel kind of in this void. And then you're going to get hungry because you just exorbited all of your energy in being fucking angry.
Yeah, emotional.
Right? So that's why I used to fly by my emotional seat of the pants,
Yeah.
especially in active addiction.
Yeah.
And I just allow my boundaries to dictate what I can do, because that's what keeps me healthy.
That was a good answer.
You know? And
I like how you tied that back in there.
But it's a big, I think boundaries is a big deal.
It is.
And you have to understand what codependency is. If you don't understand what codependency is, you will run yourself fucking ragged. Like you just will. And it's with great intentions, but sometimes intentions can lead you to hell. Best paved intentions can lead you to hell. Believe me, right? Because all of a sudden now you're sitting in that place, right? And then you get that self-rejection. Fuck, but I've done all this shit. And that's the shitty committee you got to be really careful about, right? I used to hear this all the time from people where they'd say, motherfucker committed suicide on me. What? They didn't commit suicide. Yeah, they intentionally fucking strung themselves up for you, you selfish prick. What are you, fucking stupid?
Unless it's in the letter.
That's, yeah. But even then, really it's not. You know what I mean? Like,
it's still about them. Even if they did put that in the letter, it's about them not being able to cope.
Exactly. Suicide is not about the other person, but I have quite often heard this from people where they're like, motherfucker died on me. What?
Hey, I felt that's part of grief, I think, because
it is.
I fucking felt that when my friend passed, and I was like, "You fucking piece of shit."
Yeah, how could you do this?
How
do
could
this
you
to me?
leave
Yeah.
me and your mom. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. I get it. I think because we all go to that place, and I think what stops that is, and I hate saying this, but it's the death after death after death after death.
Numbs you.
Yeah, like there was somebody I talked to last night, and they were like, one of their friends just died from a heroin overdose. And she said to me, she just said that she can't cry anymore. And she felt upset because she couldn't show emotion anymore to death. And so afterwards, I came to her and I had said, well, look I know many people who've died in recovery and active addiction, okay? And I don't cry anymore either. But the only homage I pay is the first sober breath that I breathe in the morning. Because they're the ones who gave me the lesson that I need to stay sober. I'm only one short walk away from sharing the same grave as them. And if I relapse, their lesson to me, which they paid for their life, just went to shit. Right? So as long as I can keep that toll in my head, that homage paid every morning when I humble myself, I don't cry anymore, because that's kind of the bitter hardness that we have to accept for those of us who are sober and living a great life. It's unfortunate.
I cry now more that I'm sober.
Well, it's because you actually feel it.
Yeah. I cried last night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you actually feel it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think the other thing is too, is like, how do you deal with this rejection piece? Right? Like when you're afflicted with rejection, it's one thing to say,
I used to self-sabotage over rejection.
I used to say, well, it's their loss. That's what I used to say all the time. And then when I reflected about...
That's kind of what I do now.
So I don't do that anymore. And the reason why I don't do that anymore is because it feeds my bullshit ego. You know how I look at it now? My creator said that wasn't for me.
There you go.
There's something better waiting for you. Right?
You're not in control.
Yeah.
But we are in control.
I don't like putting myself in that place, because if I do put myself in that place, then the rejection makes me feel like...
Then you take it personally.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so with the creator in mind, I won't allow my ego to go to a place where...
God's the buffer.
Well, and it's not like this place where, well, it's their loss. You know, it might be, it might not be. And for whatever reason they decided, whatever, going down that rabbit hole is just a fucking waste of my time to figure out their motivations and intentions. Who gives a shit? The only thing that I know is there's two things that I've learned so far, and it's this. Whatever I thought was the best I've ever had in my life, I'm never getting back again. Instead, I'm going to get something better. So if there's something that I didn't like, I was rejected from, quote unquote, my God, my understanding of my higher power, just that's not for you. There's this other thing. Go look for it because it's going to be way fucking better. Go to that. Those people weren't for you. They're going to be successful in whatever they're going to be successful at. God bless them. Have a beautiful life, right? I hold no vengeance upon anybody for anything. But my Creator told me this is the next thing. Go look for the next thing because that's going to be better for you. You're going to be of more use over there. And I heard somebody else last night talk about predicting what their God wants them to do.
That's an interesting theory.
That's horseshit.
It's contradicting.
Sure it is. I mean, this person was sitting at an old age home talking about how they were going to get an apartment in this old age home and he was going to become the guardian. I'm like, what the fuck? Your ego is off the fucking charts, son.
That you're delusional.
You're fucking nuts. You're nuts. And then they're like, well, a person didn't even show up to give me the blah, 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 blah. Woe was me story. And then I was really upset with my God. Well, why should you be upset with your God? He just showed you a lesson in that moment saying, how dare you predict what I'm going to give you? Accept, son. Accept this and move the fuck on, right? If you're not accepting, you're going to hold a resentment. You're going to look for vengefulness.
You know, I got lots out of this show already.
Yeah.
In my own life.
Yeah.
Like, just us talking about this, like, I've been able to put together a few things, like resenting my father. There's still a little hinge in there that I just need to accept, and not, like, you don't have to forgive, but accept.
Yeah.
And just give away all the weight of it so you're not carrying a single shred of it. Just accept it. BPO, send out some good energy to him. Like, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
I wish you the best.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. Truly, honestly, I wish you the best. Detach.
Yeah. Have a beautiful life.
Cut ties.
You know?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
mean it.
Yeah, and because that's, I mean, you hear people say this all the time. If you're pissed off at somebody, pray for them. Ah, fuck. I mean, it works. I've tried it. It does work. But I mean, who the fuck really wants to do that? If I'm praying for somebody because I dislike them, shit, I've gone way too far. That's the way I see it. If I can just look at them and say, you know what, this poor son of a bitch, they're sick. Fuck, have the best life ever. I hope to God one day
everything turns around for you.
Yeah, I really hope. And if you ever want my help, I'm here. But these are my boundaries for my help. And I'm not going to negotiate my boundaries. Like that's something that I don't negotiate with. Whether it be in a significant other relationship with the opposite sex, or somebody from recovery that wants a sponsorship, or family that I'm working with. No. Clients that call. No, these are the boundaries. This is what it is. And it's fucking very black and white. Right? And the reason why it has to be black and white is because I have negotiated with those before at my detriment. There's a reason why they're called healthy boundaries, because it's healthy. Right? And I think that's the big thing. You have to figure out what codependence is. Read that book by Melody Beattie, Codependent No More, and fucking live by that thing.
I've started listening to it.
It's good.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good, actually. And it's funny, as I was listening to it, there were certain things in there when she would say them, I'd be like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I've done that. But then other things that she wrote, I would see it in other people in my life, like either like my mom or my girlfriend, or you know what I mean, like other people in my life, and I'm like, oh my God, they need to listen to this too. We all need to listen to this book.
And I think it's one of those things too where like you know, when you come into recovery and you're so excited about AA or whatever it is because it's really working for you in the moment, and you want to share it with everybody, right?
They're codependent on that though at that moment.
Sometimes. Well, I think what it is they're trying to be of service. Like I said, we all run ourselves ragged in the beginning until we learn this thing called what codependence is, and boundaries, right? Really, I see it as this. When somebody comes into the program first and they have to sponsor all of these people, right? One of the things, or the reason why they sponsor all of these people, is because that's a fucking crash course of what boundaries are. And then all of a sudden, like, my sponsor turned around and said, well, Justin, why do you think I made you sign a contract, you fucking idiot? You signed a contract because that was the definition of our relationship. And it was only premised on two things that you had to give me. One, honesty and willingness. Other than that, I gave a shit about anything that you had said. Really? That's all I care about. As long as you give me honesty and willingness, fuck, we're good to go. But I don't have to answer your phone call at 2 a.m. The only reason why I do it is because you gave me honesty and willingness, and I understand that you're struggling. And you showed me through your actions that it was. He says to me, he goes, how many of these sponsees that you had? I had 15 at the time, one shot. 15 sponsees, one shot. I was taking them through a set of steps. That have a lot of work, right? And he said to me, he goes, how many of these fucking people actually showed you honesty and willingness? How many times did they lie to you that they get their step 4 done and never did? It's a majority. Because fucking cut them loose then. Not worth your time. There's somebody else out there dying for your attention right now. Literally dying for your attention. Cut them fucks off and go find that other guy that's sick enough for you. And he was right. Right? He was right. So what does it boil down to? Are you willing? And are you going to be honest with me? Because if I find out that you're not fucking honest with me, I mean, I understand the whole denial thing. Didn't even know that I lied. I get it. But you got to be prepared for me to call you on your bullshit. And if you're not going to be honest with me, when I do call you on your bull, we're fucking done. Like, we're done. And if I don't see that you're developing through this process as rapidly as I see fit, we're fucking done. There's other people dying for my attention right now. Right? And that's honestly the way how I see that.
I can't like relate to that because I've never had sponsees of my own through a program where it's like, because like you're used to, and you can talk about that because the program that you've been doing for years and years and years has taught you how to deal with that. And then you've had sponsors yourself that told you these are the best ways to do it. Get them to sign a contract, set up healthy boundaries, But like for me to relate to that in the form of like sponsees, like what, I don't have a designated sponsee that came to me and said, can you be my sponsor? I don't have that. But I can relate to it in the sense that I have friends in my life who often come to me for advice. And even though there's not a designated title on our relationship, like sponsor, sponsee, then in that context, we can use the same information about, us giving advice and whether or not they use it. Well, if they don't use your advice after 2-3 times you give it, then you might as well stop giving them advice.
Yeah, fuck them.
Or give them the wrong advice and see what happens.
Well, and I think like I agree. So I had to learn what a relationship was with sponsees so that I could go and be with normal people. Right? I had to learn that. Because at least through sponsee, and it doesn't mean that I have all these friends. I'll tell you right now, most of my sponsees are not my friends. 100% they're not.
Well, you wouldn't want that because that would fuck up the boundaries.
That's right. To a degree. Some of them were. Some of them, and those who were died. I can tell you that right now. And there's a couple that I still am really proud of because they really do work their ass off, right? But then when it comes to like, I don't counsel my friends. Okay? And the reason why I don't counsel my friends, I have healthy friends now. So this is my thing. If you're not healthy enough to be in a relationship with me, we're done. Why the fuck am I going to waste my time? I mean, for a living, I counsel people. That's what I do for a living. Okay? My sponsees, that's not a living. That's just me giving a little extra for free. Okay?
Service, yeah.
Yeah. But I counsel for a fucking living. Okay? So like, why am I going to go and counsel my friends?
Yeah.
That's ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
Really, it is.
Yeah.
Because then all my life becomes there's no health in there.
Not for you.
I need fucking support, not just from my sponsor, right? Who's my anchor, really.
Your friends,
if I'm seeing my fucking sponsor, no, I'm not friends with my sponsor.
No, I mean like.
Oh yeah, but my friends are a different kind of support. Like I'll go work out with my friends.
Yeah.
I'll go hiking with my friends.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the shit that you and I are talking about here in this podcast? Maybe, but we're not going to go into depth like you and I are going into depth.
No.
We should not, me and my friends should not be counseling each other. Sure, my close friends, kind of. We feed off of each other through entrepreneurship and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we try to conglomerate our good ideas with each other. But outside of that, I'm not going to tell them, yo, your sister looks really fucked up on drugs. You want me to injure her? No. That's not my fucking role.
You should give her my number.
And then even them, yeah, and then even them, like my friend to say, can you help my sister? Well, I'll get your sister a counselor, but I'm not going to be the counselor for your fucking sister.
Point her in the right direction.
Yeah, that's it. It's too close to home.
Only if they're ready, open, and willing.
And that's why I'm saying you need to discern who your friends are. If your friends are not healthy for you, you're not going to be healthy. You're going to be stuck. When I go to the fellowships and I go to a meeting, those people aren't my fucking... Some of them are my friends, but the majority of them are not. Right? I go there. The reason why I go to meetings, Kenny, is so that I don't get an inclination in my mind thinking, maybe I can have a beer today. Instead, I go to a meeting and I hear some poor fucker coming in through that door going, fuck, it sucks out there. And I don't have to go and experience it because I know that I will be that poor son of a bitch if I go out and drink.
Yeah.
Right? I am chemically indifferent.
Do you ever find that like meetings are like a long dicking contest, like on sobriety time?
So I think sometimes you have to figure out which meetings you want to go to.
So,
right?
Well, I've been sober a year. Well, yeah, I've been sober 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
and
you.
You know, one of the things I noticed, so I'm not going to say where, but a little while ago I noticed this. People who have good sobriety time, we don't talk about time. And you know what else we don't talk about? We don't talk about the time watch on. Okay? At some point, if you actually lose your obsession to use, it's gone. It's really gone. The most discernible way about that is there's no stopwatch going, when can I use again? And you'll hear it. The person who's talking in that fashion can't even fucking see it because they're so delusional. But literally, somebody who's sober enough can discern. They can see it. That poor son of a bitch has a fucking time watch on. Like it's
even the same for cigarettes.
Right? Same thing. Yeah.
100%.
Same thing. So how do you...
My clock's ticking right now, buddy.
So how do you develop into that place where the clock isn't ticking? The best way...
I need to quit smoking. I don't want this clock anymore.
The best... That's step one, right? Recognizing that you can't do it alone, right? Like you can't, right? You have to learn, right? If you want to be a duck and talk like a duck, you got to go act like a duck. That's just what it is, right? So like listening to these young people or people in early recovery in some of these meetings, the biggest thing that I've always gotten from it is you can tell if they had their wits about them, the people who they might want to look up to are those who are talking about what recovery feels like, what it is by living it, not by how much time they have. But it's one of these things too. The eye of the beholder is the one who says that it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if you're in a meeting and all you hear is negative shit, well, guess what your filter is?
Negative.
That's right. If you go into a meeting and you sit there in a positive filter, you're just going to basically allow the negativity to fall away. Right?
Well, yeah, perception is everything and everything is perception. And you can actually use your perceptions, your inner dialogue. So if like you're sitting in a meeting and you hear everything as bullshit or negative, use that as a direct mirror into yourself. That is what is wrong with you. And if you can correct that in yourself and come to that level of self-awareness that your inner critic and inner dialogue, if that is judgy and critical of other people, it's because you're doing something that you're judgmental or critical to yourself over.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. Now I'm going to throw this at you. How do you know that you're over that? I'll give you the answer.
Here, let me hear it.
So outside of meetings, even with normal people, you hear these things. You're like, you're pretty sick. If you want my help, I'll help you.
But isn't that judgment?
Not really.
For you to say, well, you're pretty sick.
Well, the reason why I say that is, let's say you hear this person talking negativity.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are just negative, right?
But then the label sick, I don't like the label sick. You know how I like to say it? Different level of awareness.
You know what I say is their mental health isn't up to snuff. And the reason why I say that,
Yeah.
so sick
Yeah.
is just easy for me in my mind. That's literally the thought that I have.
Okay, yeah.
Geez, that person is they're pretty sick because all they can talk about is negative things. They can't see the opposite. They can't see the positive of it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's great. But like, remember how you were saying, if that's all you're hearing and you become judgy of it, like particularly everything that they say, you're like, listen to this poor fuck. It's just going on. Look at this fucking prick talking about how his day was shitty.
Yeah.
And then you just go, right?
Yeah, the tone of your thoughts is going to determine what's judgy or not.
So then what ends up happening is that's you hating your own life. Like you said, it's the mirror effect.
Okay, and then
right?
what you're saying is that you go, oh, look at this guy. He's kind of sick. That's you meeting him empathetically.
That's right.
And with compassion.
Then you recognize that you've just dealt with your bullshit. And
Okay,
this being even when I'm counseling.
Yeah.
I'll hear these people talking to me like, oh, my situation is the worst situation in the world. No, it's not.
Yeah, but
it's not.
We can't say that. We have to listen to them. We have to hear them out first and get them to a state of ease where you say,
sure.
Are you ready for some feedback?
You know what my big thing is I'll say, can you take any more? And they say no. And I say, yes, you can. Because you're not dead. So you're going to take fucking more. Believe me. Now, do you want to take more of the good or do you want to take more of the bad? Because right now you're at a precipice. And you can choose which one you want and which one you don't want. So make your choice carefully because the next step that you take is going to dictate whether it's going to be negative or positive. And if you don't know how to live positive, you need to go and either use me or somebody as a mentor to teach you how to be positive. Other than that, you're just wasting time, you know? And that's honestly the way that I see that. If you can't, if you're having difficulty with that, being positive, you need to accept that it's done. You don't know how to be positive. You only know how to be negative. And the only way out of that is to literally say, hey, you, Mr. Positivity over there, these are the reins to my life. Show me for the next year how to find that the glass is actually half full.
Yeah. Show me where the silver lining is and how to depict it.
So I hope we kind of outlined some rejection
strategy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we went there.
How to handle rejection.
Yeah.
How to process it.
I think so. I think we were there. So if you want to wrap it up.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. If you can go to our website, www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com, and please subscribe with your email address and share with your friends. You then are a Pride member, and at your convenience, have access to all our material. We want you to be in communication with us. We want to have your feedback, and because you are important to us. The listeners are what make the show.
Yeah.
Like Justin and I are just here talking on various topics of life.
Yeah.
But you are what is important. All your feedback matters.
Well, and I think the blogs, the afterthoughts afterwards, like obviously you're going to be percolating for a little while because you're writing this blog.
Yeah.
So you'll probably be percolating a little while, and I think that's a nice give and take from the listeners to read your afterthought after letting this percolate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing how
did
that
it affect me. Okay,
Yeah.
so www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. Thank y'all for listening.
Have a beautiful day.
See ya.